But first, joining us with more, the author of the brand new book, Going Further, the incomparable Clarence Thomas, our friend, Senator Ted Cruz. First, I got to ask you, well, your reaction to Lindsay's sister. I mean, pretty amazing. And incredible that Lindsay raised this girl after their parents died at 13. She grew up very poor in a bar. And Lindsay was amazing in what he did. And then this next part is, the day after her brother dies, she doesn't have time to mourn Lindsay. She gets a call from the president, a call from Henry McMaster, the governor. Please serve out the rest of your brother's term. She didn't have time to mourn, but she was asked to serve. And she said yes and stepped up. I really come to love and admire her. I miss her brother a lot. I think we all do. But pretty amazing story here.
Yeah, look, you and I were both dear friends with Lindsay. It still doesn't feel real that he's not with us anymore. And Darline, he loved Darline, and she loved him, and she answered the call and stepped forward to serve. I'm grateful that she did. I'm glad to be serving with her, and I think we are serving in consequential times, and Lindsay understood the stakes, and I believe Darline does as well. And so we've got to fight alongside President Trump to fight back from the radicals and the Marxists and the Islamists who've taken over the Democrat Party. And if we let our country go off the edge of that cliff, I don't think there's any coming back.
You know, the president, I played a very big role here in a lot of different ways. And I have nothing but nice things to say about Ralph Norman. When he went for Nikki Haley over Donald Trump, that made me question, in my mind, whether or not he's going to be a wishy-washy, Republican. I'll tell you what, I would argue that Darlene is more conservative than her brother, having gotten to know her. And she's really aligned on and her focus will be on South Carolina issues like Tim Scott's are.
Well, and look, the voters of South Carolina made their determination. I respect the voters, and so I'm proud to be serving with Darline now, and I look forward to her winning in November and continuing to fight alongside the president for common sense conservative victories.
Yeah. When I read and interviewed Clarence Thomas, my grandfather's son, one of the best books I've ever read. I still recommend that book to this day.
It's extraordinary.
I'm going to be honest, I'm jealous. He has the greatest laugh I've ever heard in my entire life. He's one of the smartest people you're ever going to be around. And he gave you all that time, and I got nothing. And I'm very, very, my feelings are hurt. But it's really, you're taking this whole story of Clarence Thomas to a whole other level. And I'm going to add one thing, and then I want you to comment. If you look at blue cities and states, where are the worst schools? Where's the worst crime? Usually in predominantly minority neighborhoods. And I don't know why historically that Democrats have gotten a majority of the African-American, Hispanic-American, other minority groups vote, when I don't think they've done a thing to help anybody, anywhere, in any blue city or state. Am I wrong?
You're not wrong. And look, I wrote this book because I think Justice Thomas has an extraordinary personal story, and he is one of the most consequential conservative thinkers and Supreme Court justices to ever serve. Justice Thomas is a good friend of mine. I've known him 30 years. He agreed to we did 9.5 hours of one-on-one interviews for this book. And in this book, it came out today. Today was the launch, and it immediately skyrocketed to #1. It's the #1 best-selling book on Amazon because Justice Thomas's story is so compelling. And what I tried to do in this book is a couple of things. #1, tell his personal story. He was born into abject poverty in rural Georgia. He was raised in incredibly challenging circumstances. He was raised by his grandparents. His grandfather was a strict disciplinarian, taught him discipline, taught him hard work, but also taught him education and reading. His grandparents were illiterate. They didn't know how to read or write, but they emphasized education for Clarence and his younger brother. He initially had no interest in being a lawyer or a judge. What he wanted to be was a priest. And he went to the seminary, and we almost got, instead of Justice Thomas, Father Thomas. But then when he went to the seminary in both high school and college, he became disillusioned with the church. He became disillusioned that the church was not standing up against racial injustice, was not standing up for civil rights. And so he went to Holy Cross undergrad and Yale Law School. And he became a leftist radical, an angry young man. He was in a riot in Harvard Square. And what I try to do in this book is tell his story, which is an amazing journey from abject poverty and facing grotesque racism to the pinnacle of American law. But I also try to lay out his intellectual journey from an angry radical leftist to one of the most important conservatives to have ever lived. Not only that, today, Justice Thomas is the second longest serving Supreme Court justice in history. In 2 years, he will be the longest serving justice in history. And what I do in this book is I try to explain 30 years of jurisprudence defending the Constitution and what it means, and do so in a way that is understandable. You don't have to be a lawyer. You don't have to be an expert. I try to write this book so that a smart high school student can read it and be inspired. You could order the book right now at goingfurther.com, goingfurther.com. And it's a great book to give your kids, to give your grandkids. The reason I wrote it is this is a divided time where people are demoralized and they're sad, and we don't have enough heroes. And I think Clarence Thomas is an American hero, and he's someone that if people are looking for role models, you would be very hard-pressed to find a better role model than Justice Clarence Thomas. He's extraordinary, and I want as many people as possible to know his story and know his legacy.
Well, we'll put up the book one more time. I'm looking forward to reading it, Senator. I wish I would have gotten an advanced copy. Going Further, goingfurther.com if you want to get a copy. Ted Cruz, always appreciate you. Thank you. All right, thanks for watching. Check out my new podcast, Hanging Out with me, Sean Hannity. The big interviews, the debates you won't get anywhere else. Like and subscribe for new episodes every Tuesday and Thursday.